This month is going to be busy for my next guest as we mark two important anniversaries. Now, on August the 28th, it will be 60 years since the end of the Bristol Bus Boycott, which was the catalyst for the Race Relations Act, which came along in 1965. And it was also, I didn't know this, on that day that Martin Luther King had a dream. Remember his amazing speech? Well, Jules Davis is from Curiosity Unlimited and is here to share with us everything that's being planned. Welcome. It's so nice to see you.
Thank you for inviting me.
First of all, you brought a big card. We've got it here in the studio. What's that about? And how does that
I mean, this card, as you said, Martin Luther King's dream is iconic, and we've taken an element of that, particularly the bit where he talks about being judged on the content of your character and not the colour of your skin. And with it being the 60th anniversary, and with actually Bristol being the 7th most unequal city for people of colour to live in today, we're asking our city 3 questions. One, it starts around what is the state of Martin Luther King's dream, which effectively is a diagnostic. You can't fix a problem until you know what it is. Second question is about how do we honour and what would you like to say to the Bristol Bus Boycott pioneers, and how therefore we can then say thank you for their contribution, their bravery to a better Bristol and Britain. And then finally, Bristol, unfortunately, as I said, is the 7th most unequal city for people of colour to live in today. But let's flip it, reverse it. If we put in a mirror, it looks like a 1. So how can we become the best city for people of colour to live in by 2030? I think we can do that.
And the idea is that people put in messages on that card, and you've been out collecting them, giving you ideas. And is there a willingness, do you think, to change? Do people accept there's a problem? What have you found the reaction to this is?
I mean, 100%. I'm pushing out an open door. You know, we have to be realistic about where we are as a city. As great as the city is, 650 years into its birth and existence, you know, there's still a long way to go when it comes to equity and equality. And lots of people out there are recognising that inequality is a reality every day. So, yeah, pushing out an open door in terms of asking those questions and looking for answers. And, you know, who doesn't want a better Bristol? Who doesn't want a better Britain? Who doesn't want a better world? And I think that's really where we're trying to go with these responses, which would then be used to co-create a grassroots blueprint for change. So
right.
Therefore, it's by form with the people of Bristol.
And just take us back to the Bristol Bus Boycott of 1963 and what happened there and how that led to change and how that linked in with Martin Luther King.
Well, I mean, you had some brave men and women, Paul Stevenson, Owen Henry, Audley Evans, Roy Hackett, Barbara Detrin, you know, gathered together to challenge what was systemic racism that came out of the Bristol Omnibus Company at the time. They challenged it. It was a David and Goliath battle. They won it. And as a result of their victory on the day that Martin Luther King had a dream, they defeated the colour bar. And I think that's a beautiful story that we can tell as a city. And I don't think there are many cities that can actually speak that truth in terms of being inspired by Rosa Parks, you know, a bus boycott, you know, and on the day that we defeated the colour bar, Martin Luther King had a dream. I mean, what other city could possibly say that? And in fact, we look at someone like Marvin Rees, you know, he stands at the shoulders of giants because of that bravery that came before. I just wanted to ask you about that, because there's this controversy now that he wasn't selected to be a candidate at the general election. And what do you make of that? I mean, we're judging people by the colour of their skin. We shouldn't be, should we? No. And it's hard for me to say what was going through the minds of, you know, the members at the time of Crossing the X. I would hope that they were judging Marvin on his character and not the colour of his skin. But we also have to be realistic. Countless reports, and I'm not suggesting that this refers to those individuals that made their decision, but countless reports talk about the systemic racism that exists in our society. So it goes way beyond the decision that was made here.
I mean, the Bristol Labour Party members have said, look, that's very hurtful, but how can people get involved in this?
I want to focus on light and not heat.
So and so, got a website, I think.
Yeah, so all the W's.Curiosity, which is UNLTD.com. So let's come together, let's join this movement for positive change, and actually you can be one of those change makers.
Okay, and there's some ideas there about what you can do. Thank you so much. Really nice to see you. Don't get wet, will you, outside? It's pretty damp. Thank you.